Good morning and welcome to Beyond the Lines podcast. I'm your host, Nikki Watson, on this wonderful Monday morning. It's a little chilly. The sun is out, but it's a little chilly. Why did it go from being cold and then hot and then cold again? Inquiring minds want to know. We're doing a sound check. We're doing a visual check. It says it's. Do I enter in too quickly? Is that the problem? I was just having a little bit of technical difficulties because it wouldn't be Monday without it. And so let me just see here, making sure everything's good. Who knows? Who even knows? Yeah, here we go. Good. Okay. Okay. We're just going to roll with it. Just rolling with my homies. Okay. Well, I hope everybody had a wonderful weekend. Hopefully we're all centered here. Figuratively and literally. And so what we have on the docket for today is to read an article that came across my newspaper. It is entitled, it was actually in today's, let's see here. It was in today's paper. No, I'm sorry. It was in Saturday's paper. So it is entitled, Dems Face Divisions Over Aid to Israel. So we're going to take a look at that. And we're also going to, I also wrote in there, one of the columnists, I call her, she's in the George Will section of my newspaper at times, SC Cup. She wrote a little, I think it's more of an editorial. She has a show on CNN. We've covered her a few times here. And so we'll just read what she has to say. And then we also have listed on the docket today is the Hague report, but specifically what is going on in the new age, in the golden age. So in that case, we have a couple of the Hagues that fall under the umbrella of Hague Inc., as I would call them, but it's really our crone archetype. It's really us gravitating towards the, you have the maiden, and then what are the levels, right? And then you get to the crone. Okay. And as women, we typically experience that, they say, every cycle, right? So yes, but this is about crone as in an actual elderly an actually older person as a content creator archetype. Okay. And so on the internet. So, but we also have them and we're going to follow, we're going to just check in to see what Marianne Williamson is up to as the representative of the new age and the golden age. So we're going to go over that. I hope I'm coming in. Let me just do a little sound check here and hope that we're coming in loud and clear. I mean, it is seriously, the weather is so bizarre how it gets so, it was just, the sun is out. It's nice when the sun's out, but it's cold. Why is it so cold? Okay. Is the sound working? Can y'all hear me? Yeah, I think you have to make the... Everybody had a wonderful... Yep. Okay. Sounds coming through to me. All right. So then let's get started. We're going to do a little screen sharing. Our favorite feature. I mean, I'm here to play ball with you, StreamYard. Maybe I'll be in your favor. That would be great. We'll do that. We will do that. Where are we at here? This is what I said we're not going to do today with the internet. We're not going to play these games. I already lowered the resolution. If you are a follower of this show, thank you and God bless you. And so if you're a follower, you know that we have internet problems, we have technology problems. I thought that the higher resolution, when you go to the full definition of the 1020, I think it is, it can't run as well. I did get another attached thing for the Wi-Fi so that we have a little bit more of those vibrations going through our skin. But really so that I can just stream better. So I'm hoping, so whenever we get that, just hang tight, and I'll just have to troubleshoot it later, play around with it. I don't know what the deal is. Why must we? Okay, here we go. Hang tight. We're going to pull up this article here for your reading and viewing pleasure. Oh my. Okay. Here we go. Okay. Well, I'm probably going to read it from my paper, but so this is, so the guy that wrote this is Carl Lubsdorff. Sorry, Carl, if I said your name wrong. Carl is the former Washington bureau chief of the Dallas Morning News. Can you guys see that? Okay. So his title for the article is, perfect. All right. So his title for the article is Democrats Face Continued Divisions Over Aid for Israel. And this came out, he wrote this on Friday. I guess it went on the website here on Friday. So we're go through it. So that's Ed Martin, or I'm sorry, Ed Martin. That's Ken Martin there. He's the DNC chairman. He's the new DNC chairman. And we have actually been following Ken Martin since he, oh my gosh, we have a really great clip of Ken Martin talking about, is it the elites? Is that what he said? We have to go back to actually, right, we have to go back. We did cover this in a past episode. I'll have to go back and pull the clip of what it is that Ken Martin said. It was very good about how, we have elites, or I don't know if he used the word elites or oligarchy. I think he said the word elites. But these are the good, ours are the good kind or something. It was just it was perfect. Okay. So let's just go ahead, and now I'm getting distracted here because I want to, oh, here we go.
There are a lot of good billionaires. There are a lot of good billionaires.
Wait, okay. Just for fun, this clip was from February 1st, and he was newly elected as the DNC chair. And he was at the Democratic National Committee Candidate Forum. So I guess this was before he was chosen. Yeah, this is what he said. This is Ken Martin here. His photos. This is not related to the article specifically, but yes, it is, because he talks about him. Actually, I just want to play this real quick.
There are a lot of good billionaires out there that have been with Democrats who share our values, and we will take their money, but we're not taking money from those bad billionaires.
Here, thank you, Joe Martin.
There are a lot of good billionaires out there that.
His face. Poor Ken. You got this, Ken. You got this. We've actually been following the story here because he has had some luck, and some not so much luck because of the Democratic Party and where they stand and such. So he's probably doing his best. And we could follow what he's doing. But really the point of this is today is because all eyes are on Gaza. That's where we are today, and there's a lot going on the domestic front. There's a lot going on the international front, geopolitically as well. So looking at, Trump just posted that on his, he posted it on social media on his account about the hostages and the deals that he's made and who has come to the table and what is expected of next. So this article coming out, we're just going to read it. And it says here, you can read along too. We'll do that here. Okay. So sometimes the article in the paper is a little bit different than the one on the thing. So I guess I would be preferable for me to just read it off of the, I like to see what the difference is. Sometimes it's why is it even different? Why is the printed article even different than the one that's online? I'm reading the one on the paper. Sorry, guys. You're going to have to, you can see it right there. Okay. Dems face divisions over aid to Israel. At last week's Democratic National Committee meeting in Minneapolis, Chairman Ken Martin avoided a showdown over competing policy proposals on the troubled and increasingly divisive U.S.-Israel relationship. But neither Martin nor the party's congressional leaders are likely to prevent continued collisions in Congress and some Democratic primary splits and divisions stemming from Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's incessant campaign of destruction in Gaza. By condoning, even sponsoring, Israeli brutality in Gaza and in the West Bank, especially against civilians, Netanyahu has confirmed the fears of many American Jews that he would overreact to the brutal 2023 Hamas attack on southern Israel that murdered over 1,200 and took 250 hostages. Yeah, I think this is about the same. Good. Okay, great. His actions have sapped long-standing U.S. support for Israel, especially among younger Democrats, even for supporters of Israel. It's hard not to be appalled at what's happening in Gaza. President Donald Trump and most Republicans still support Netanyahu, but his actions are dividing Democrats. I would actually also say his actions are dividing Republicans as well, because if we look at people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, who have been speaking out about this and about being America first, and what that means is that we focus on investing in America and we don't invest in other countries, and they, you know, what it is that they're doing and the things that they need and everything is that those are dollars and energies that are being spent. This is the story as it goes. I was like, my dog, you're not allowed in here. You're not allowed in here. You have to stay out there. So there is divisions and conflict within both parties, I would say, actually. And probably too within the Trump administration also. President Donald Trump and most Republicans still support Netanyahu, but his actions are dividing Democrats. Yeah, like I said, I would. Okay. That's evident in Michigan's hotly contested Senate primary and the July 30th Senate vote on an amendment by Senator Bernie Sanders, in which a majority of Democratic senators voted for the first time to block a military sale to Israel. They included every top Senate Democrat except Minority Leader Chuck Schumer of New York. In Michigan, the three leading Democrats have taken disparate positions. Rep. Haley Stevens, the early leader in polls, is stressing her consistently pro-Israel record and saying she would have opposed the Sanders amendment. She has the support of the powerful American Israel Public Affairs Committee, AIPAC, which was a key financial backer in her past House campaigns. Both State Senator Mallory McMorrow, shown in polls to be her principal primary opponent, and Abdul Al-Sayed, a Sanders supporter who lost a 2018 bid for governor, said they would have supported the curb. This is different. This is different. Did I say that already? No, because this wasn't even included in the... No. Okay, guys. I'm going to read this, and then we're going to go back and read this article. Okay? This is so frustrating. I don't know why it's so different. Okay. McMorrow has criticized Netanyahu while supporting a two-state solution that recognizes Palestinian independence and urged AIPAC to stay out of the race. Al-Sayed, a leader of the independent movement that opposed Biden in 2024, has sharply criticized Israel's actions in Gaza and called for ending U.S. military aid to Israel. The issue already looms as a major dividing line in the nascent 2028 Democratic presidential race. At least two potential candidates, Reps Ro Khanna and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, AOC, of New York, have outspokenly criticized Israel's continuing assaults on Gaza. I don't even know where AOC is. I haven't really seen her. Former Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg, an unsuccessful 2020 candidate who may run again in 2028, discovered how the issue has evolved when he drew substantial criticism after a recent podcast in which he described Israel as a friend in need of support at a difficult time. Richardson doesn't talk about these divisions in the Democratic Party, does she? As a result, in subsequent interviews, he took a much sharper tone, supporting a ban on arms sales to Israel in recognition of a Palestinian state. Against this background, the DNC confronted on Israel, one calling for a military arms embargo and suspension of aid, the other urging unrestricted aid for Gaza and a two-state solution. Continued divisions seem probable, given Netanyahu's refusal to step down or cease the policies that have frayed his country's American support. Okay, now we're going to read what it says here, because these are two different articles. Great. At last week's Democratic National Committee meeting in Minneapolis, Chairman Ken Martin avoided a showdown over competing policy proposals on the troubled and increasingly divisive U.S.-Israel relationship. But neither Martin nor the party's congressional leaders are likely to prevent continued collisions in Congress. And so, imagine that. And some Democratic primary splits reflecting division stemming from Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's incessant campaign of destruction in Gaza. By condoning, even sponsoring Israeli brutality in Gaza and in the West Bank, especially against civilians, Netanyahu has confirmed the fears of many American Jews that he would overreact to the brutal 2023 Hamas attack on southern Israel that murdered over 1,200 and took 250 hostages. His actions have sapped long-standing U.S. support for Israel, especially among younger Democrats. Even for supporters of Israel, it's hard not to be appalled at what's happening in Gaza, especially the attacks that have killed thousands of civilians. In a Pew Research poll this spring, slightly over half said they have a very or somewhat unfavorable attitude toward Israel, an increase in 11 points in 3 years. That included 7 of 10 Democrats, but only 1 in 3 Republicans. Similarly, a recent Gallup poll showed fewer than 1 in 10 Democrats approve of Israel's actions in Gaza and support Netanyahu, compared with 2/3 of Republicans. But about half of Democrats over 55 backed the embattled prime minister and his actions. A similar age division is evident in New York City's mayoral race. Polls show Democratic nominee Zohan Mamdani, a Muslim who accused Israel of genocide, with twice as much support from Jewish voters under 50 as from older ones. Unsurprisingly, his overall Jewish support is down from the norm. A recent general election poll showed Mamdani with fewer than half of Jewish voters. While that gave him a substantial margin over his 3 rivals, it's far less support for Democratic nominee. 2024 Democratic presidential nominee Kamala Harris underperformed with New York's Jewish voters. She still received about 2/3 of their votes. President Donald Trump and most Republicans still support Netanyahu, but his actions are dividing Democrats. Yeah, I'm not really sure if that's entirely true, just based on the Republicans that speak out about it that are in office. And then also you have to consider Trump voters and what it is that they voted for. And most Republicans. So yeah, I don't think that that's I don't think that that's entirely accurate, but that seems to be what the story is how the narrative is going. That's evident in Michigan's hotly contested Senate primary and the July 30th Senate vote on an amendment by Senator Bernie Sanders, in which a majority of Democratic senators voted for the first time to block a military sale of Israel. They included every top Senate Democrat except Minority Leader Chuck Schumer of New York. In Michigan, where former President Joe Biden's continuing support for Israel after the Hamas attacks sapped Democratic support among its large number of Muslim voters, the three leading Democrats have taken disparate positions. Representative Haley Stevens, the early leader in polls, is stressing her consistently pro-Israel record and saying she would have opposed the Sanders Amendment. She has the support of the powerful American Israel Public Affairs Committee, AIPAC, which was a key financial backer in her past House campaigns. Both State Senator Mallory McMorrow, shown in polls to be her principal primary opponent, and Abdul Al-Sayed, a Sanders supporter who lost the 2018 bid for governor, said they would have supported the curb. McMorrow has criticized Netanyahu while supporting a two-state solution that recognizes Palestinian independence and urged AIPAC to stay out of the race. Al-Sayed, a leader of the independent movement that opposed Biden in 2024. I wonder if that was the no, what was it called? Like the no, what's the word that they would use? Like it was, instead of the no vote against Biden, it was like they weren't voting for Trump. They weren't promoting Trump, but they were promoting like don't vote for Biden. Al-Sayed, a leader of the independent movement that opposed Biden in 2024, has sharply criticized Israel's actions in Gaza and called for ending U.S. military aid to Israel. Elsewhere, some progressive Democrats who previously accepted money from AIPAC have turned it down, including North Carolina Rep. Valerie Foushee, who received some $2 million from AIPAC and affiliated groups in 2024. You all know that I took the money from AIPAC, but check to see how much I've taken since that time, and check my voting record to see how I have voted and what I have voted for as it relates to the people of Gaza, she said at a recent town hall. Huh. That's interesting. It's also interesting that that is not included in the paper article, right? This is why we're reading both. That's interesting. What are y'all up to, huh? What are y'all doing? I'm going to look up this woman. Who is this? This is, what is her name? Valerie. State Rep Valerie Foushee. Yeah, I mean, okay. Well, Trump has said that AIPAC doesn't have as much power as they once did. I mean, Ted Cruz sort of also said that, didn't he? The issue already looms as a major dividing line in the nascent 2028 Democratic presidential race. At least two potential candidates, Reps Ro Khanna and AOC of New York, have outspokenly criticized Israel's continuing assaults on Gaza. Oh, that's what I wanted to see. I wanted to see what AOC was up to recently. I don't know. I haven't been following. Unless she's on. Let me see. I don't see her posting anything about it on her X feed. She's not really posting a lot on X. What's up with that? Does she normally post? Trump wants to replace doctors with AI to determine whether Medicare patients get the care they need. A machine will have the ability to override a licensed doctor to deny care in order to increase profits. I mean, those are the death panels, though, isn't it? Isn't that the death panel thing? Okay. It's going, yeah, I don't see have outspokenly criticized Israel's continuing. I mean, I haven't seen her doing that lately. Why isn't she speaking out about it then? Yeah, I don't see her at all. I mean, why is she not on X? I mean, is she on a different platform that I don't know about? Remember how she said she really wanted to get to know, why people voted for Trump, and she was asking and she was like reading online and like, what are people saying online about it and stuff. So, I mean, if she's promoting her Fight the Oligarchy tour, then I think she should be on X, because that's where people who voted for Trump are too, right? So it's going to be a defining issue here. This is it. It's going to be a defining issue in the Democratic Party in the midterms and for 2028, Khanna told Politico. He urged the United States to recognize a Palestinian state and stop sending weapons that kill civilians to Israel. Former Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg, an unsuccessful 2020 candidate who may run again in 2028, discovered how the issue has evolved when he drew substantial criticism. Wait a second. He discovered how the issue has evolved. This is great. Okay. When he drew substantial criticism after a recent podcast in which he described Israel as a friend in need of support at a difficult time. Okay, you see, he didn't know. Pete Buttigieg just didn't know what was going on, but he discovered after making that statement, thinking that, these were the times. As a result, in subsequent interviews, he took a much sharper tone, supporting a ban on arms sales to Israel and recognition of a Palestinian. Against this background, the DNC confronted competing resolutions on Israel, one calling for a military arms embargo and suspension of aid, the other urging unrestricted aid for Gaza and a two-state solution. The proposal, and it seemed likely to win, he withdrew it in the interest of party uniting, declaring, "This is a moment that calls for shared dialogue, for shared advocacy." Continued divisions seem probable given Netanyahu's refusal to step down or seize the policies that have frayed his country's American support. Hold on. So the latter proposal was one calling for a military arms embargo and suspension of aid, the other urging unrestricted. Okay, so what Ken Martin has been trying to do as the chair of the DNC has been to come up with a platform. Is that the policy platform, right? Where it's like, these are the things, basically the talking points of how, what the Democrat Party is going to run on. Somewhat of a rebrand, but really just they seem to continue to be scrambling. I'm going to find another article here that we were talking about with Ken Martin, but so the proposal that they were talking about, which is the resolution. So like if they discuss that this is, so the DNC, the national committee meeting, where you have committee people from counties from all over the country, committee people, they all come together for this meeting. And this was the national committee meeting was last week. Okay, so they're all talking about it. Like what are the policies, again, what are the things, what is our platform? What is our party platform? What are the things that we're going to run on? What is this sort of branding that we're going to have? They can't say make America great again. They try to use all that marketing, but they can't. So one of the things that they wanted to run on is it looks like they wanted to propose that military arms embargo and suspension of aid. The other urging unrestricted aid for Gaza, though Martin backed the latter. So what does that mean? Which one did he actually back? Though Martin backed the latter proposal and it seemed likely to win, he withdrew it in the interest of party unity, declaring this is a moment that calls for shared dialogue, calls for shared advocacy. That doesn't sound good. That doesn't sound good. Let me see. The good billionaires. I can't. I go back in time, guys, and I look at all the past things that I have collected here. Okay, so let's go to let's go just see what else Ken Martin is up to here. Let's see. Ken Martin policy proposals on Israel. Okay. At the recent Democratic National Committee summer meeting in Minneapolis, that's called the summer meeting. This is from September 5th. Two starkly different resolutions emerged regarding the Israel-Gaza conflict, exposing deep ideological rifts within the party. On one hand, a progressive resolution called for an arms embargo on Israel, suspension of U.S. military aid, and Palestinian statehood. It was quickly rejected by the Resolutions Committee. On the other hand, DNC Chair Ken Martin presented a more moderate proposal that called for an immediate ceasefire, unrestricted humanitarian aid to Gaza, the release of hostages, and reaffirmed support for a two-state solution. Though the committee initially approved his resolution, Martin surprised attendees by withdrawing it, opting instead for further deliberation via a task force. Well, I hope y'all are happy with your choice there. And Ken Martin, he is just the winner for y'all. He seems so just like his backbone. This is that other dude. What was his name that got remember he had that cane and he got kicked out of the hearing there because he was yelling. Okay. Martin acknowledged the conflict within the party. As we've seen, there's divide in our party on this issue, he said. I've decided today at this moment to listen so we can move forward united today and have the conversation. Speaking directly in the Resolutions Committee meeting, he emphasized shared advocacy over consensus. Okay, he framed the task force as a bridge toward unity. We need to keep working through this. We have to find a path forward as a party. We have to stay unified. No one should confuse unity with anonymity, with unanimity. What this signals for the Democratic Party. Though the resolutions are symbolic, their rejection and withdrawals unified pro-Israel consensus. Huh. Is that what it was? Pro-Israel. Okay. Oh, anyway. So, okay, it signals a fracture in the parties once unified. Okay, generational tensions and base shifts. Younger and progressive activists rallied behind the more forceful resolution driving the distancing trend, while mainstream figures appear more hesitant to alienate traditional constituencies. Leadership pressure not paralyzed. By retracting his own resolution, Martin seems to be seeking unity through dialogue rather than forging a unilateral path. Implications for U.S.-Israel relations. The internal Democratic debate reflects broader shifts in American political and public attitudes towards Israel. As progressive voices gain influence, long-standing bipartisan support for Israel may come under sustained scrutiny. Future Democratic platforms might seriously reconsider U.S. aid packages and diplomatic alignment. The changing party dynamic may recalibrate how closely American Democrats work with Israeli policymakers. The DNC summer meeting might have deferred a definitive statement, but the divisions revealed they are unlikely to appear. For Israel and observers of American politics, the key takeaway is clear. Something fundamental is changing about how Democrats approach Israel and how Israel must engage with American politics in response. Okay. This is the nation.com. Democrats have a Gaza problem. They don't seem to want to fix it. We'll do this. What is the article? Oh my gosh. After nearly 2 years of genocide in Gaza, The Democratic Party's once unshakable support for Israel is beginning to fracture. The party's voters are loudly signaling that criticism of Israel is not only acceptable but needed, a shift seen most prominently in Zohran Mamdani's mayoral primary victory in New York. Unfortunately, the Democratic elite, which has played a crucial role in enabling and perpetrating the slaughter in Gaza, is still clinging to the status quo, and nowhere is the more evident than in how Ken Martin, the recently installed chair of the DNC, is handling the issue. As chair of the organization that oversees the Democratic Party's national fundraising and election efforts, Martin is an important and visible party leader. His statements and committee decisions shape national perceptions of the party and influence which candidates and voters are valued come election time. But it seems he is siding with the old guard when it comes to Israel. Huh. Wait, The Intercept reported? What does that say? In early August, The Intercept reported that Martin's aides pressured 26-year-old pro-Palestine DNC delegate Allison Minnerly to water down a symbolic resolution calling for the party to support an immediate ceasefire and an arms embargo to suspend military aid and recognize Palestine as a state. When Minnerly refused, Martin publicly backed a competing resolution that maintains a Biden-era commitment to advancing Israel's qualitative military edge. This resolution was crafted with the input of Democratic Majority for Israel, a group whose super PAC worked to oust former representatives Jamal Bowman and Cori Bush. The countermeasure reportedly has the support of the entire DNC leadership in advance of a vote at the upcoming meeting. Martin probably wishes the Palestine-Israel issue would disappear, but it clearly won't. And as the party shifts around him, Martin has an urgent decision to make. Will he continue the committee's tradition of obedience to AIPAC, the ADL, Democratic Majority for Israel, and the other pro-Israel lobbyists, consultants, and donors? Or will the DNC do what is not only morally just, but widely popular with Democrats of all democracies? No, it's of all demographics across the country and embrace anti-genocide politics? Most groups are pushing Martin to choose the latter path. Over the last several months, pro-Palestine advocacy organizations, including the Institute for Middle East Understanding Policy Project, Justice Democrats, Gen Z for Change, and If Not Now, have worked to convince Martin and DNC Executive Director Roger Lau to move the party towards its own voters on Palestine and acknowledge the Harris campaign's dire approach to Gaza in the 2024 election. As one Harris campaign staffer explained to the nation, a senior official in the Harris campaign informed voter engagement organizers at the beginning of October 2024 that they were to no longer to record voter feedback about Gaza in their internal systems. This meant that the campaign simply stopped engaging with voters concerned about Gaza in the crucial final weeks leading up to the election. I mean, this has just got to have, this is... Around the same time, the Kamala Harris embraced Liz and Dick Cheney and sent Bill Clinton to Michigan, where he alienated the swing state's Arab and Muslim voters by declaring that Israel had been forced to kill Palestinian citizens in Gaza. The thought process in the campaign with Muslim voters, young voters, with anybody who was concerned about Gaza was, okay, we'll lose you, but we'll pick up two out somewhere else, the staffer said. We all know what happened after that. In a letter from March, these groups cite January polling by YouGov and the IMEU policy project that found ending Israel's violence in Gaza was the top concern. 29% of those who had voted cast ballots for someone besides Harris in 2024. It notes that this was the case for 38% of these voters in Arizona, 32% in Michigan, 32% in Wisconsin, and 36% of voters under 45. Wow. Okay, so this is long, so we're not gonna stay on this right now, but have we been good so far? Okay. Okay. let's move on to what we're saying here with SE Cup. Let's go to that one right here. Now Reuters posted, hold on. Let's just go, we might have to switch here. What does this mean? Is this the one that you guys are seeing? Let's take this off. Okay. Yeah, here we go. Sorry, I'm just switching topics here for a second. Israel has accepted Trump's, so this was posted earlier this morning. Israel has accepted Trump's Gaza ceasefire proposal, foreign minister says. Israel has accepted a ceasefire proposal. Speaking at a press conference with his Hungarian counterpart in Budapest, Tsar said that Israel was ready to accept a full deal ending the war that would include the release of hostages and Hamas laying down its arms. That's it. That's all that it says. Okay. So let's go to what SC Cup has to say. We're going to shift gears just a little bit here. So XF read through an article that was posted the other day, and I almost wanted to go over that one, but let's do this one at least first, and then we'll do the HAG report, and then we'll wrap it up. So this is, again, going to be a little bit different than I think what's written in the newspaper. SE Cup, it's Trump against America and Americans now, right? So this is what they're doing this. They're doing this narrative run where they are saying, you know, Trump's changing the Department of Defense to the Department of War because he's at war with Democratic governors and especially cities like Chicago, right? And that's just what the narrative is about. And then the other people on the internet are saying, well, no, Trump's going to war with other countries and such. So it's like, which is it? Which is it? Which isn't it? And what is it that SC Cup has to say? So she's we've gone over her before, but she's a commentator for CNN, but she does a lot of anti-Trump stuff now. She's been doing a lot of anti-Trump stuff for a while now. So it's Trump against Americans now. wait, hold on. It's Trump against America, comma, Americans now. Okay, I just want you to know that I know right here. Yes, this is an opinion piece. Okay. It's Trump against America and Americans now. But I'm telling you that in my paper here, see if we can do this here. So it's not, so I can, I don't know if you can see that. It's Trump against America, comma, Americans now. Okay. Okay. It had a slightly more noble sound to it in 2023, when then former President Donald Trump made the lofty but creepy promise to a friendly MAGA crowd at CPAC. In 2016, I declared, I am your voice. Today I add, I am your warrior. I am your justice. And for those who have been wronged and betrayed, I am your retribution. The idea that voters might send Trump to right significant injustices like inflation, intercity crime, and an out-of-control migrant crisis, the three issues that mattered most to them, was appealing to plenty of voters, more than enough to put him back into the White House. Sarah Elizabeth. What was the girl's name from the Clifford? Elizabeth. What was the girl's name in the Clifford series? What was her name? Clifford series. Girl's name. Emily Elizabeth. Okay. Not Sarah Elizabeth. Okay. But if that was the main course, there were other side injustices he sought to fix too. DEI policies, wokeism on college campuses, trans men and girls sports, key word issues meant to be an amuse-bouche. What is it, guys? Is it bouche? What is that? What is that? Amuse-bouche? What does that mean? You guys know what that means. That's a... How do you say that? Like Tom. That reminds me. So is it how it sounds? I think how do you pronounce that? How do you pronounce amuse like I would say it was like boucher. Amuse boucher. Is that how you say it? Is a small complimentary dish served before a meal in a restaurant, meant to prepare the palate and showcase the chef's style. Okay. Okay. All right. But if that was the main course, the key issues might be is, okay, so basically an appetizer for his base. Then there was dessert, avenging his personal injustices. He made it very clear while he was running that he was going to punish his political enemies for going after him. He's carried out that promise doggedly since being reelected. But what he didn't tell American voters was that they'd often be collateral damage in his war of attrition against all these injustices and enemies, that they'd end up being targets too. Sarah Elizabeth does a lot of the Democratic Party talking points, where she does things, just a lot of the talking points on the domestic front, right? She doesn't always, I mean, she'll go, I think there's been some articles where she sort of said like, we have to get it together, or there's no, she was doing this sort of looking reflectively. I think she's done that here and there, but mostly it's just about it's this sort of language and tone and such. So he's carried, but what he didn't tell American voters was that they'd often be collateral damage in his war of attrition against all these injustices and enemies, that they'd end up being the targets too. So again, this is like the story that they're promulgating that now Trump has, he's going to war with Americans. Which is obviously not true, but this is kind of what they've been doing since the beginning, with the immigration, and probably Medicaid and stuff, such. But he's not hiding it now. This week, Trump announced he was moving the This is like when Heather Cox Richardson posted like that Pritzker said like the three main things that Democrats are worried about: Medicaid, and it was something else, and then like the Epstein files, like release now. Now we're releasing. It's like she's saying, she's building this argument, right? She's building this case right here that he said that he was going to go to bat for you. He said that he was going to go up against all these policies, and she's not even addressing the ones that she said. But if that was the main course, there were other side injustices he sought to fix. DEI policies, which he has actually done the things that he said he was going to do on those things. Wokeism on college campuses, which he has. Trans men in girls sports. It's interesting that she actually used those terms, trans men in girl sports, again, which he has. He has done all those things. He saw the injustices that he sought to fix too. So he has done things in that direction that have changed things, that have trickled down on local levels. I mean, we see it in the regulations for education, for colleges again, that are to get federal funding, and just being able to really vibe shift and tone shift for people for states and local organizations and institutions that want to follow along with this, that want to do the Biden administration policies, with, for example, DEI or trans men and girls sports, as she would say. They have that opportunity to be able to fight for that and to do that. But then on the other hand, the Trump administration, and with his stance on different things, he's been given these local institutions permission to go ahead and reverse course, and to not be shamed and pressured and forced into these enforcing these policies and playing these games that, again, is just counter to what we've been doing for how long, and the agreements that we have all made. Nobody really agreed to that, and we saw it's been a long time coming. With just, I know we get like fatigued with these narratives, right? Because it's just like, it's so unpopular. It's like, what, but then we talk about, again, the difference between them promoting these unpopular ideas versus doing what it is that most people would prefer, most people would agree is really in the sweet spot of just normal, just average, what most people think, how most people live their lives. And so anyway, she goes straight from saying like, these are the things that he ran on, to then saying, well, he's not hiding it now. And then she goes into, this week, Trump announced he was moving the U.S. Space Force Command from Colorado Springs, Colorado to Huntsville, Alabama. Why? Not for any strategic advantage, not because it's more cost effective, not to help the state of Alabama, but to punish the state of Colorado. Actually, it is more cost effective, right? Didn't they say that what's his face say that it was going to be saving taxpayers? Yeah, I don't know. Is this what she's to punish? What is this link here? Oh my gosh, girl, what are you doing? Do you guys see this link? Oh my God. Oh, okay. Bullshit's hard to follow. Okay. Mediate.com, politics, they want dishonest. This is the link that she included, talking about what happened. Okay. Trump announced that he was moving the U.S. Space Force Command from Colorado Springs, Colorado to Huntsville, Alabama. Why? Not for strategic advantage, not because it's more cost effective, although it is, not to help the state of Alabama, but to punish the state of Colorado. So then we're going to go to, can I open this without? Yeah. Look, she links to this article. They want dishonest elections. Trump says he's punishing Colorado for having mail-in voting. Okay. President Donald Trump rallied against the state of Colorado on Tuesday while announcing that he was moving the U.S. Space Force Command from Colorado. Yeah, he's not doing it because, okay, Trump made the announcement in the Oval Office and added, my first term, I created a thing called Space Force. So important, we were losing the race in space very badly to China and to Russia. And now we're far NOA number 1 in space and reestablish Space Command with a mission to protect American space assets and detect any threat to our homeland. We initially selected Huntsville for the Space Command Center headquarters, yet those plans were wrongfully obstructed by the Biden administration. Right. And as you know, they moved them to a different locale. And today we're moving forward with what we want to do in the place that we want to have this. And this will be there for hopefully hundreds of years. That's where it's going to be. So this was something that he did in his first term. I will say, I want to thank Colorado. The problem I have with Colorado, one of the big problems, they do mail-in voting. They went to all mail-in voting. So they have automatically crooked elections, and we can't have that. When a state is for mail-in voting, that means they want dishonest elections, because that's what that means. So that played a big factor also in Huntsville Space Command. So guys, okay. Yeah, so that played a big factor also, except that he had already decided in his first term that he was going to have Space Command in Alabama. Okay, and Huntsville Space Command will play a key role in building the Golden Dome. As you know, that's going to be a big thing. Everybody wants to be a participant in it. We're going to have a Golden Dome that the likes of which nobody's ever seen, the finest, the best. And by the way, Canada called. They want to be a part of it, and that'll be great. But Canada wants very much to be included in that, and then we're going to work something out with them, abilities of which we're way ahead of anybody else's. Nobody close to remain unmatched long into the future. So I'd like to ask Secretary Hegseth to say a few words. He was very much a part of it, and really everybody behind me was. Notably, Alabama also has mail-in absentee voting. Okay. Trump lost Colorado in all 3 elections he has run, while he has always won Alabama, a point he made earlier in his remarks. Okay, so not punishing. That's not why, but that is a dig at mail-in voting. But like the article also said, Alabama also has mail-in voting. It's just that this was always the plan. Okay, so this is how Trump is against America and Americans now, because he moved U.S. Space Force Command from Colorado Springs, Colorado to Huntsville, Alabama. Okay. The move will cost Colorado Springs and its 5 military installations jobs and prestige, and even Colorado Republicans like Representative Lauren Boebert have opposed it. But to carry on the ruse of Trump's election fraud lies, Colorado voters, including in El Paso County where Trump won in 2024, must be the losers. Okay. A little more than a week ago, it was Maryland in the crosshairs when Trump threatened to cancel funding for the reconstruction of the Francis Scott Key Bridge, which was struck by a ship last year. Why? Because Governor Wes Moore is refusing to deploy the National Guard to fight crime in cities like Baltimore. It's a great photo. It is. That's a nice photo. Tens of thousands of vehicles cross that bridge a day, and it's a vital corridor for moving goods up the eastern seaboard. But no matter for Trump, they can all wait on their lousy bridge. He's got a grudge to hold. Earlier this year, he unimaginably threatened to withhold disaster relief to California after it suffered devastating wildfires, unless the state enacted voter ID laws. Once again, Californians struggling to rebuild their homes, schools, and businesses were merely political pawns to him. Sickening. Is this what she wrote? Sickening? What is happening? I mean, what are we even talking about? Earlier this year, he unimaginably threatened to withhold disaster relief to California after it suffered devastating wildfires, unless the state enacted voter ID laws. So once again, Californians struggling to rebuild their homes, schools, and businesses were merely political pawns to him. Sickening. Well, Sarah, why don't we ask Spencer Pratt about what the state of California and Governor Newsom and Mayor Karen Bass did for the people whose houses were burned down in the Palisades. It was more of the same after Hurricane Maria devastated Puerto Rico. After delaying more than $20 billion in congressionally approved aid, He faced allegations that he was deliberately punishing the territory over politics. Most of the aid didn't reach Puerto Rico until the Biden administration released it in April 2021. Whether it's his tariffs, which are a tax on all American consumers, I still don't understand why they don't understand what tariffs are. His threats to withhold disaster funding in cities that don't comply with his crime edicts. Oh my God, or his regular aggressions against LGBTQ Americans and minorities. Trump was proactively punishing or threatening to punish wide swaths of American voters so he can score political points, soothe his overweening ego, or just make people uncomfortable. It's gross and a huge abuse of power. Sarah, what is going on, girl? You're like sickening. And now it's like, it's gross and a huge abuse. I mean, you're starting to sound like me a little bit. I mean, I definitely say things are gross, but I don't actually think you believe what you're saying. I don't know. I'm kind of feeling that out here. I think that there's a lot that you want to say that you're not saying. I think I'm getting that vibe. And so you're kind of trying to like act like you don't agree with how things are manifesting, like realistically, like in reality. Like I know you're just writing stories and telling tales, but actually the results of what's going on are a lot deeper, and you can't talk about the Palisades in California, right? About Governor Newsom and such, and Spencer Pratt. You can't write an article about that. I mean, you could be like, I mean, if you really wanted to, you could come up with a way to say like, well, Trump's not doing anything and Governor Newsom's not doing anything. You know, it's a shame. It's sickening, right? You could say something like that. Like it's gross how Governor Newsom, how they raised money, him and his partner raised money for the victims of the fires, and never got any of it. And now Spencer Pratt, he was in Washington, D.C., and now he's working. He just did like a little promo video for like the IRS. Like if anybody got a letter or if anybody donated, like reach out to me. They're like putting together, information for a case. So, I mean, that's gross. And it's a huge abuse of power, like you say. It also makes him a small and sad figure who will be remembered most lastingly for his petty politics of personal grievances. I just don't think you believe that. I don't think that you actually think that that's true. This is stale. This is stale rhetoric, even for you. And because he doesn't hold grudges. I know that's the story. And I know that you guys have to run that he's this narcissist and all this stuff, but he doesn't. So, and we've seen that. And this is, his threats to withhold, I mean, his regular aggressions against, I don't think he has regular aggressions against LGBTQ plus America. Well, there's no plus there. LGBTQ Americans and minorities. And minorities? I mean, what is it? What year are we in? Like, I just don't think that's true. I don't think I don't think he has regular aggressions against those people at all, even in his rhetoric. You see what I'm saying? Like, even in his rhetoric. And I don't think that you believe this to be true either. But you are painting this picture about him. You're trying to. You have to wonder when his voters will wake up and realize they've been bamboozled. So this is a common thread amongst you, amongst the quote unquote geopolitical analysts on the internet, who like to talk about when will Trump's voters wake up and realize that they've been tricked, right? Like, is this what you voted for? Sort of a thing. Oh my God. You know what, Sarah? You've written some art. I think I have some of these articles here that you have written that like aren't this, you do. The way that you write is not good, just in general. But this is not good. You know what I mean? Like even for you. You have to wonder when his voters will wake up and realize they've been bamboozled, used, and abused. He's taken their hard-earned money to line his pockets under the guise of stopping the steal and fighting non-existent election fraud. I just don't know what. I feel like I'm in a time warp here. I don't know why you're saying I don't know what the point. I don't know who you're talking to. You're just talking to like just regular Biden voters who are then going to write an article back into the paper saying, "Oh, I agree with SE Cup, who said, that Trump has taken his supporters' money to election fraud." I think you're just running these scripts here. And I think that you want to be a little bit better, though. He's taken their hard-earned money to line his pockets under the guise of stopping the steal and fighting non-existent election fraud. You don't believe that. He's lied to them repeatedly, sending many of them into harm's way on January 6th. He fed them bogus conspiracy theories that helped him get elected and now insists they're a hoax. I'm seeing a little bit of a narrative convergence here. I'm wondering. Convergence, it's just the word, huh? His one big, beautiful bill. So now we're trying to get Trump supporters, right? This is all, he fed them bogus conspiracy theories. So this is a conspiracy. So this is Blue Anon. And these are conspiracy theories against Trump. His one big, beautiful bill will cut up to $1 trillion in Medicaid. I said that in a wrong way. I was like, is she using this term cut up? Like I kind of like that. What is that? I'm kind of cutting that up. No, that's not what she meant. She meant it will cut up to $1 trillion in Medicaid, decrease funding for rural hospitals, and take health insurance away from millions of his own voters. His we'll see then, won't we? You have to pass the bill to see what's in it, right? His loyalty has always been one way and conditional, but now he's actively punishing Americans, including his own voters. Will they ever tire of being targets and pawns? Will they ever tire of being targets and pawns? Not like the Democratic Party, right? Not at all like that. SE Cup is the host of SE Cup Unfiltered on CNN. I think you could actually go a little bit more unfiltered. Okay, I'm here for you. I support you. I think you should. Take the training wheels off. I do. I think you got a little bit more in you. Maybe get a little bit more unfiltered. You know what I mean? Just a little bit more. Okay. So that's that there. How long have we been on here? Because we may have to, let's see. Oh boy, here we go. All right, let's just do one quick thing here for, see if we can get into Marianne Williamson's thing here. So we can talk about the new age and the golden age. Oh, it's not letting me get into my. All right, I don't have this set up for everybody here. So let's go to. I have an idea. Let's go to, let's see if we can go on to X. Because I think I'm already logged in there. I'm not. All right, well, let's just pull it up here. I don't have this prepared for us for today, but let's just see if we can go a little bit further. Oh, here we go. All right. Get verified. No, I'm not going to do that. Okay, here we go. Here we go. We're just going to see what she's up to. Okay, we're going to stop this. We're going to remove this. Where are we at? Oh, here we go. Okay. Okay, so 22 hours ago, Marianne Williamson posted, "This is not a worthy president. This is an out-of-control gangster threatening to make war on an American city." Okay, so sounds like she's continuing with the rhetoric, with the rhetoric of the, look, this is exactly what I said. I love the smell of deportations in the morning. Chicago about to find out why it's called. Okay. 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 The radicalism, exceptionalism, creativity, and greatness of the United States has stemmed from the American ideal that all of us were given by our Creator, the unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Okay. So, not until the second Trump administration, with a new breed of techno-fascists, techno-fascists, white supremacists, and the Christian nationalists, has an American government proactively empowered forces that unabashedly undermine that ideal. Without firing a shot, those who have wanted for so long to destroy America are very close to getting their way. Okay. So let's go back up to here. Okay. So do you think that this makes sense? Like let's just look at that photo there, okay? Because I know that this is making its rounds. Let's just look at it for a second. Apocalypse Now. Is that do you think that there's any ambiguity there? Is that a little tongue in cheek or something? Is Marianne Williamson taking that post seriously? I love the smell of deportations in the morning. Chicago about to find out why it's called the Department of War. So who is Trump at war with, Marianne? So there's a whole, we have illegal immigration. And we have it being connected to the Democratic Party voting machine. We have mail-in voting. This is all just related to elections, the democratic process, okay, having the consent of the governed, and keeping the integrity of the constitutional republic, okay, through the electoral process. On the other side, we have crime related to illegal immigrants that were not vetted, that were brought in, that were ushered in, that are in cahoots with facets of our government who are all it's a whole big thing, right? It's like the cartels with the elections and with the crime and the trafficking and the influx of how these systems run, and all the problems that we have now at this point of having an open border, of having a border that is broken so that neither Democrats nor Republicans had to take responsibility for it. And they both benefited from it being a political pawn for the Democrats to be like, oh, we need to be lenient. And then for Republicans, so if nobody, and then with the, being able to work people for low wages, and then it messes up with the American worker and fair wages, and it's trafficking, because then there's threats, there's poor living conditions, there's people that are being taken advantage of at best because they don't have any legal protections here. So it's been this vague place for how many years? And so no other countries have an open border, and to vet people that come into this country is not an absurd thing to even suggest. It is still amplified. This rhetoric is still amplified on both sides, and it's a deep issue. It's not something that we can just say either or. But the rhetoric of it and the shock value and the optics are used on both sides, the Republicans and the Democrats, when you're talking about talking points. And he's talking about crime, right? And this has been their whole thing. I guess now what I'm speaking to is I'm trying to help Marianne, and she probably gets it, and I don't know for sure, but she probably gets it, but can't, is still doing the shtick, right? Just like Trump's doing the shtick. So he's talking about, we're going to war with the facets of these systems that have been not doing good things for the American people for decades, right? The policies that have been placed, and speaking specifically to this specific issue, that if you have one media making case, and you have Pam Bondi, and she's talking about one case where you have an illegal immigrant that was let off, that is being put on benefits here to stay here and stuff, and he was not sent home, he was not sent back, and then committing crimes. So that's where the intention is coming from. And Marianne's not going to really address that or pick up on any of that. She's just going to, use it. But he's trolling. She's taking him seriously here. But Marianne is a spiritual teacher, and so it's interesting how she takes this sort of approach with her audience by being the spiritual teacher that she is. But now, she is very critical of Trump, obviously, and really using the things that he says and posts and stuff, right? Again, playing along. I mean, a lot of really how Sarah Elizabeth is also doing it as well. Most of those who have supported Trump will be the hardest hit by his destructiveness, feeling the hurt mainly in limited access to economic as well as healthcare opportunities. Yeah. Oh, that's an ad. I was like, what is Mary posting? Okay. If America spent a fraction of the resources we now spend propping up billionaires and feeding a bloated and gargantuan military machine, instead providing world-class educational, health, safety, and cultural opportunities for children from birth to 15 within one generation, we would have a completely transformed society. And I agree with you, Marianne. I agree with you. But at what point, I mean, and I guess, Marianne, I guess you have held your party accountable in the best way that you have been able to. You've run for president a number of times. But at the same time, there are things that you're not, the blind spot that you've had for for Biden, I mean, that was a train wreck. That's hard, it's a hard thing. Okay, so he did something I like. Calling the DOD, the Department of War, is good because it makes us look at ourselves more honestly. It hasn't been a Department of Defense in a very long time. The Pentagon is the head. Wow, Mary Ann. The Pentagon is the headquarters of a huge economically motivated war industry. It is, in every sense of the word, a Department of War. There are some very good people there trying their best to keep it aligned with the honorable mission for which the military was intended. Bravo to those on the inside who are trying their best to keep the faith. Well, hot dog, Marianne. Hot dog, Marianne. I'm clicking on this. The military should primarily be a fighting force, not an instrument for social change. I'm cool with that, period, but fighting for the right thing and only when necessary. Are you agreeing with Secretary Hegseth, Marianne? It was called the Department of War until the end of World War II, when Harry Truman changed it to the Department of Defense. After changing it to the Department of Defense, we have been military involved nonstop around the globe. Maybe it's time to eliminate the euphemisms. You are right about this. We have got to face ourselves. This really is US or us. That's what it was before a Democrat changed the name. We need a Department of Peace, not a DOD. Don't get her started. She's in a good place right now in this post. We need to make sure we never have to defend anything. That's the message we're sending. We're ready for war, so don't try it. I was in the military, Army, Vietnam, Korea. There was never any defense. It's always offense. I think Pearl Harbor was the only time USA was attacked, and that's not the USA mainland. You're back. That was quick. I thought you were leaving Twitter. That was quick. Oh, wait. Oh, June 11th. Good luck getting reflowed. I don't know who you are anymore, including your teachings that influenced my life. As of today, I will no longer be posting on Twitter. I'll be on Blue Sky and also on Substack Notes. My Substack address is marianwilliamson.substack.com. Okay. So she agrees with, I'm really impressed, Marianne. Look at this. I'm really impressed. So then we go to this, though. And this is what I've said, but he's not here. Let's go to this, back to this, because I know we're worried about this. Okay, this is not a worthy president. This is an out of control gangster threatening to make war on an American city. Let's click on it here. See, we just had Marianne. He's not talking to you, Marianne. This isn't you he's talking to. He wants Pritzker to do the work. He wants governors to clean up their own side of the street. He doesn't want to have to do these things. You can believe me or not. This is just my interpretation. Okay. Yeah. I don't have any secret Trump code. Okay. I'm not getting any notes here from him. Right. I'm not a Trump whisperer like Richardson is. I don't have, the out of the Cracker Jacks box. Okay. I don't have any information, but he wants them to do the right thing in cleaning it up and stop letting it go to shit. We also have the World Cup coming up next year, and we have to have places and people in positions of efficiency. We can't let there be room for things to pop off. And so he wants them to do it. He doesn't want to have to do it. It's not, Pretorius Willem Gray says, it's not war on an American city. It's finally enforced enforcing the law and won. You cried for federal help when cartels ran open air markets, but now that boots are landing and deportation orders are printed, suddenly it's gangster behavior. You weren't afraid of power. You were afraid of power you don't control. Chicago isn't being attacked. It's being reclaimed. Another person says, Chicago is already at war. I wish. Obama, Snoop, Zoggy Zog loved drone striking Americans overseas without due process. Trump needs drone strikes. Trump needs drone strike the gangs in their shit hovels in Chirac. Huh. Yeah, that's true, Marianne. About Obama murdering American citizens overseas without due process. Drone striking. It's true. I mean, did anyone else watch Warrior? This is another Democrat lad grab of minorities communities. Did you mean land? Current Democrat urban leadership and rejection of reducing crime in the most impacted neighborhoods reminds me of historical planned shrinkage or benign neglect, which urban scholars have used to describe policies in cities like New York. Intentional in the 1970s, intentional withdrawal of services, firehouses, policing, sanitation from poor minority neighborhoods to depopulate them. Chicago and Detroit, 1980s to 2000s, slow service withdrawal and tolerance of crime before redevelopment booms. Key mechanism, let crime and poverty fester, residents leave, property values drop. Declare the area blighted. Yeah. Legal justification for tax breaks or eminent domain. Sell land cheaply to developers. Huge profits post gentrification. Why resist federal crime intervention? If local elites benefited from chaos clearance redevelopment, then a sudden federal-led crime reduction threatens that profit cycle. High crime can be politically useful to secure more funding and control narratives. Comparison to your Chicago hypothesis. Chicago historically had machine politics with deep ties between developers and city officials. Areas like Bronzeville, Englewood, and parts of the West Side have seen patterns of abandonment, speculation, redevelopment. Evidence, demolition programs, tax increment financing, deals disproportionately benefiting developers in gentrifying zones. These patterns suggest long-term structural incentives to allow neighborhoods to decline before reviving them for profit. Other examples, Roger Starr's planned shrinkage in New York, 1970s. The policy proposed redirecting services from distressed neighborhoods, such as closing firehouses, schools, and transit to accelerate population decline in order to save fiscal resources. It sparked intense backlash, denounced as inhuman, racist, and even genocidal. Public health and violence consequences. Research, including public health analysis of the Bronx, links these policies to spikes in homicide, arson, substance abuse, and broader social destabilization, implicating the withdrawal of vital services and the social decay. Urban shrinkage and benign neglect. Conceptually related terms like benign neglect, advocated by figures like Senator Moynihan, are positioned as predecessors to planned shrinkage, illustrating how neglect can be used as a tool for disinvestment. Right. So someone says it's a breath of fresh air. Yeah, John Lemon just accidentally aired a Baltimore man who said it would be a good idea. Here, we'll just listen to this real quick. But yeah, that was a really good explanation of why, again, Trump just wants them to do it themselves, right? And they won't because they benefit from it. You see? So.
And the president said he wants to send troops here to Maryland. What do you think? Baltimore into Maryland?
I'm not opposed of it.
Right.
I think it'll be a good idea.
Why so?
Maybe we can clean up some of these crime-ridden neighborhoods.
Yeah.
You know?
Is the crime bad?
Very bad. Atrocious. And, you know, I'm out of breath. So
yeah, I see you were running. You got your prayer rug. Yeah.
Right, I'm on my way to Juma.
Yeah.
It'll be a breath of fresh air.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you. The president said he wants to send troops here to Maryland. What do you think? Baltimore into Maryland?
I'm not opposed of it.
Right.
I think it'll be a good idea.
Why so?
Maybe we can clean up some of these crime-ridden neighborhoods.
Yeah.
You know?
Is the crime bad?
Very bad. Atrocious. And
Right. My cat's meowing outside the door. I know, guys. Another person said he's going in to stop crime. Stop loser whining about everything he does. Enjoy the positive outcomes. Crime eliminated, criminals jailed, illegals sent home. Our government is not worthy of, someone else says, our government is not worthy of the decency of the American people. And then someone says, nope, we voted for this. And then somebody wrote, put a sock in it, hag. Healthy communities thrive. Oh, this is automate. What's this automated? Healthy communities thrive on respect, truth, and compassion. Let's focus on building understanding rather than spreading divisive stories. Our shared values of fairness and dignity can guide us toward a stronger, more united future. That sounds like Ken Martin. Chicago is a war zone full of lawless gangs and illegal invaders. Roll the tanks. Up. Just call him the gangster of love. I mean, what are you going to do, guys? You have any better suggestions, someone says? Is there music here? No, this is just call me the gangster of love. Okay. All right. I think this is going to be it for today. We did a lot here. Did a lot of reading here. And let's go back to the front here. Okay, great. Okay. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Like and subscribe. And we'll catch you next time.